The United States and India have announced a major breakthrough in trade relations, marking significant rollback of tariffs and deepening of economic cooperation between the two countries. On February 2nd, US President Donald Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached the agreement during a phone call. Shortly after, President Trump announced on social media that United States would reduce tariffs on Indian goods to 18%. Prime Minister Narendra Modi confirmed the tariffs reduction, stating that Made in India products would now face an 18% duty in the US market. He described the agreement as a win for both nations, saying that when the world's largest democracies work together, it unlocks immense opportunities for mutually beneficial growth. Addressing Parliament on February 5th during motion of thanks to the President's address, Prime Minister Modi said India has emerged as a trusted global partner.
बड़े-बड़े देश भारत के साथ व्यापारिक संबंध बनाने के लिए बहुत ही आतुर है। यूरोपीय संघ का ट्रेड डील हो, अमेरिका के साथ अभी हुआ जो ट्रेड डील हो, और कल हमारे पीयूष जी ने सदन में विस्तृत जानकारी भी दी है और पूरा विश्व खुल करके इस ट्रेड डील का तारीफ कर रहा है। और उसमें जब यूरोपियन यूनियन के साथ ट्रेड डील हुआ तो विश्व को भरोसा हुआ कि अब वैश्विक स्तर पर स्थिरता की संभावना बढ़ेगी। अमेरिका के साथ ट्रेड डील होने के बाद विश्व को और भरोसा हो गया कि जो स्थिरता की एहसास हो रहा था, अब गति का भी एहसास होने लगा है। अब विश्व के लिए शुभ संकेत।
Prime Minister Modi pointed to a series of recent trade agreements as evidence of rising global confidence in India. Over the past couple of weeks alone, India has signed multiple pacts, including landmark agreements with European Union and the United States. On January 27th, India and the European Union jointly announced the conclusion of the India-EU Free Trade Agreement at the 16th India-EU Summit. The deal, covering 27 EU member states, marked a historic milestone in bilateral trade relations.
अनेक देशों के साथ आज भारत फ्यूचर रेडी ट्रेड डील्स कर रहा है। पिछले कुछ ही समय में दुनिया के महत्वपूर्ण 9 बड़े देशों के साथ 9 बड़े हमारे ट्रेड डील हुए हैं और उसमें मदर ऑफ ऑल डील एक साथ 27 देशों के साथ, यूरोपियन यूनियन के साथ।
Since 2021, India has quietly rewritten its trade strategy. Once known for high tariffs and cautious market access, New Delhi is now positioning itself as a proactive deal maker, signing 9 major trade agreements across 6 global regions. The strategy aims to widen market access, reduce tariff barriers and insulate the Indian economy from geopolitical shocks. Among the most significant agreements in India-UK Free Trade Agreement, signed in July 2025, which aims to double bilateral trade by 2030, the deal grants tariff-free access to 99% of Indian exports while sharply reducing British car tariffs in India. In December 2025, New Zealand granted 100% duty-free access to Indian goods across all tariff lines. India has also strengthened its footprint in the Gulf through comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the UAE and Oman, eliminating tariffs on nearly all traded goods. Beyond the Gulf, India signed its first such agreement in Africa with Mauritius in 2021 and expanded trade access through Australia-India ECTA in 2022, securing duty-free access for over 96% of Indian exports. Together, these agreements mark a strategic leap for India, cutting tariffs, strengthening supply chain integration, and reinforcing its position as a reliable global partner. The recent US deal helps ease immediate trade frictions by reducing American tariffs to 18%. It provides relief to India's labor-intensive export sectors such as textiles, MSMEs, gems and jewelry, leather goods and marine products. It also opens pathways for access to advanced technologies and high-value investment. Now, despite tariff pressures under the Trump administration, India's exports to the United States rose 11.3% to $59 billion between April and November 2025. However, the agreement has also reignited debate over energy ties. President Trump claimed that India would stop buying Russian oil and instead increase purchases from US and potentially from Venezuela. Prime Minister Modi made no such commitment publicly. India's trade minister reiterated that oil sourcing decisions are driven purely by market considerations and energy security needs.
मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, जैसा कि सरकार ने कई बार सार्वजनिक रूप से कहा है कि 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की ऊर्जा आवश्यकताओं की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करना सरकार की सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है। वस्तुनिष्ठ बाजार स्थितियों और बदलते अंतर्राष्ट्रीय परिदृश्यों के अनुरूप ऊर्जा स्रोतों में विविधता लाना हमारी इस कार्यनीति का मूल आधार है।
India currently sources crude oil from nearly 40 countries, compared with 27 a few years ago. While Russia remains a key supplier, its share has declined as price discounts narrowed. India has increased imports from the US, Brazil, Guyana and West Africa. The Ministry of External Affairs emphasized that ensuring energy security for India's 1.4 billion people remains the government's top priority.
The government has stated publicly on several occasions, including me here, that ensuring the energy security of 1.4 billion Indians is the supreme priority of the government. Diversifying our energy sourcing in keeping with objective market conditions and evolving international dynamics is at the core of our strategy to ensure this. All of India's decisions are taken and will be taken with this in mind. Consistent with our approach to energy security, India remains open to exploring the commercial merits of any crude supply options, including from Venezuela.
Neither New Delhi nor Moscow has confirmed any decision to halt Russian oil purchases. The Kremlin has stated it has received no such indication from India. India's oil import diversification aligns with its long-term security strategy. According to India Energy Outlook 2021, India is the world's third largest crude oil importer and remains vulnerable to geopolitical supply disruptions. In addition, an International Energy Agency report notes that India is expected to see the largest increase in energy demand of any country, driven by its expanding economy, growing population, urbanization and industrialization. The government's push to widen supplier bases is aimed at reducing price shocks and safeguarding domestic fuel affordability. Welcoming the India-US trade deal, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in Washington. Both sides agreed to formalize cooperation on critical minerals and take forward their economic partnership. He said trade deal will open up new phase in the relations. The talks between both the leaders underscored Washington's push to stabilize and deepen ties with New Delhi at a time of global economic and geopolitical churn. The India-US trade deal marks a significant development in bilateral economic relations between the world's oldest and the largest democracies by reducing US tariffs to 18% and committing to progressive liberalization of trade barriers. Both nations have demonstrated pragmatic leadership and a commitment to rules-based economic engagement. It represents a strategic bet on deeper economic interdependence, supply chain resilience, and shared prosperity. As the details are being made public and implementation begins, the true test will lie in ensuring that the deal delivers benefits to businesses, workers, and countries while respecting each nation's core interests and strategic autonomy.